afternoon, Muskegon. You know what time it is. Don't touch that dial. It's April 22nd, 2022. Hi, I'm the host of the show. Torn into Gregory T. Roberts is my name. The show with news, information, and more. And let me tell you, you're not going to want to miss the show. Matter of fact, what you're going to want to do is share this message. If you would like to get into the question, asking people questions, you can go to 103.7 The Beat, WUVS. You can go to M106 on Facebook, any of our media sites. If you're listening, or if you didn't have a chance to catch the whole show, what you can do is that this will be replayed on 103.7 WVS, my Facebook page, Melvin. I'll put it on Karen's page, as well as Miss Wyneice that just came in. But let me get the co-host, one of the twins, put your hands together, from Melvin C. Burns II. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, brother Gregory T. How are you?
Man, I'm ecstatic about not the weather, which, by the way, it's raining outside, but I guess that's better than snow. I'm excited about the topics that we started with and we're bringing today, because we ain't holding nobody up.
Right. What do you say? Right. We pull back the curtain.
Yeah, our thing is to break the glass and get ready to smoke.
Yes.
People, there is this myth, okay, that Black women are angry. And my thing is that I know it's a myth. I know it's not true. We talked about it with Richard Wolf last week of people looking for somebody to blame. There's all kinds of stuff. And so I was talking to a longtime friend, that not only she's a friend of me and you, but the radio station.
Yes.
And we do politics together. She covers state. I'm sorry about that, folks, but that's all right. But that's the only thing. And we want to bring in a dear friend of ours. Put your hands together, Muskegon, for Miss Karen Buie Jenkins. How are you?
Uh-oh.
I'm good, Greg and Melvin. It's good to see everyone. How are you?
Great.
Good to
Thank
see
you for your time, and thank you for this subject, which is well needed.
Yes.
Also, okay. Also joining us, she has the night show. Don't let that shy demeanor fool you. Wyneice Hairston, we call her Miss Niecy. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Wait a minute, hold on. I gotta say, put your hands together. Miss Niecy. There you
Yay.
Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. Hi, Karen. Hi, Melvin. Hey, Greg.
All right.
Hi, Wyneice. She's one of my favorites.
Right. And later we have Leslie Singleton that's going to be joining us. Let's get right to the comments, okay? Listen, me and Melvin on these particular things need to shut up. we need to shut up because we need to hear for and from women, okay? There's this stigma about women having this angry attitude. What do we do with it? Where did it come from? And do you guys experience? Let's start with Buie Jenkins first.
Yes, I experienced it quite a bit. And I think it originates from slavery. I think it's where Black women were seen as subordinates and chattel. We weren't supposed to express ourselves. Women in general can be very passionate about what we believe in. And anytime a Black woman shows any kind of passionate stance or has the ability to vocalize and verbalize and communicate well, what her stance is or what her beliefs are, then all of a sudden we become angry. And anytime that where anyone feels challenged, then all of a sudden it comes across as we're angry. It's not that we're angry. It's just that we believe in what we believe, and we're trying to get our opinions and our thoughts across.
Right. Okay,
A
Miss
lot of
Nisi.
times, it's seen as being counter.
Okay, Miss Nisi.
I totally agree, definitely with Karen. And then also in another aspect, not only with that passion, but then also, with our opinions, or if we're too aggressive, we're angry. If we don't conform over, then we're angry. And that's definitely, not the case. I mean, we're not allowed to really expressing ourselves is just out of the we're not supposed to do that, and we're not angry, women. And I think it's just a stereotype, really.
Okay, so we say that there's a problem out there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's if can I say this? If there's a group of people that could be mad, is Black women because of low pay to no pay, treatment in the workplace,
Birthday.
treatment in society.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anybody that could be mad, they could, but that's not the case. And that's because of grace and mercy. What do you guys think?
I totally agree. And then I think what has also happened is the media, Hollywood has perpetrated the angry Black woman. Look at Medea, angry Black woman. Look at Diary of a Mad Black Woman. The Martin Show, when they had Shaniqua, she was always angry. So that does nothing but perpetuate and obnoxious and challenging and threatening. So I think sometimes the perception that people see in the movies, on TV, in history, that we come across as being angry women, that we can't communicate unless we have a frying pan in our hand or we're being threatening. So I think some of that is just ingrained in our society.
Ms. Nisi?
Well, I mean, the same thing. And then also, not only in society, but it also seems it's a form of us playing a victim, which we don't. Playing a victim of always being unhappy. And we're not unhappy mothers, unhappy wives, unhappy workers. And it's totally untrue. Once again, still stereotypical.
Somebody brought this to my attention yesterday, and I want your opinion on it, is that it's not necessary that Black women are angry. Is that Black women have been told not to put up with a lot of mess. Is that true? Sorry with you, Miss Nisi.
Not to put up with a lot of mess. Well, we are supposed to be strong, strong women, strong Black women. And that does mean, there are limitations to what we should have to deal with and not deal with. Doesn't mean we're angry. I could look at it as a sense of just being tired.
Karen Buie, Jenkins.
I totally agree with Wyneice. If anyone should be angry, it should be a Black woman. I look back historically, and we were forced to watch our men be taken away from our families and tortured, and we were to breastfeed, other races of children. And we were tortured, and we were used in medical experiments. I mean, if anyone should probably be angry, it should be the Black woman. But I agree that it made us stronger. What didn't destroy us made us stronger. And I think that when we have to face challenges, I think that we have the ability to face those challenges head on. And so I don't think that should be interpreted as not taking any mess. We're just tired. We're tired of being mistreated. We're tired of being, we can be the most educated person in the room, and we're still challenged. I think about the incident where one of the council members, I can't remember where it was, but there was a lady who was actually had a doctorate degree, and he refused to acknowledge her as Dr. Smith. And so, we're always quality, and even though we may be the most qualified, we're still looked down as second class at times. And so I faced that in my job in the airline. We just became flight attendants in like 1971, Black women, and so it's always been a challenge for us. So I don't see us as not taking any mess. I just think we're standing up for what is rightfully ours, and we've made our way in society, and we should be recognized for it.
Nice. Pastor Burns. Oh, wait a minute. Miss Nisi, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just totally agreeing with what Karen said. And it's also like a constant, we have to prove ourselves all the time.
Wow. Yeah, Pastor Burns.
Yeah. Being aware the stereotype is out there, how cognizant of it are you when you're going through your everyday life and you're in, mixed environments? How does that play out in your head?
Let's start with you, Karen.
I'm always cognitive of it. I'm always cognitive of my surroundings and who's in the room. And to be honest, I have to adjust how I deal with the people, the people of different ethnicities, and how I handle myself, because I already know the preconceived notion of who they think I am. So you're constantly adjusting how you behave, how you interact with people based on preconceived notions that are there. It's like the elephant in the room, it's there. And so we're constantly, it's like walking around landmines half the time, trying to make sure that, if we can address the issue without coming across as this angry black woman, because we know the stereotype is already there.
Isn't it amazing that when we walk into a room or walk somewhere, we feel that we have to represent a whole race? Miss Nisi.
Yes, we do, all the time, because we're stereotyped. Not only the possibility of being an angry black woman, of just being an angry black person all the time. See, that's how that race acts. That's how they react. We expect that.
Okay, so you keep going, Miss Nisi. You said something.
I was just saying it's really unfair.
It is
expected that we're going to react in a certain way, not only as a race, but then also as black women. Okay,
so as a black woman, and we're going to start going to questions because they are popping up. But as a black woman, what drives you to succeed every day? I'm gonna start with you, Karen.
I think it comes from probably my family background, but also just my own self-worth. I hate to fail at anything. If I fail, at least I've given it a try. So that's kind of my motivating factor. I don't go out trying to prove myself. It's just using my skills and my talents and doing the best that I can. And I do realize that I represent my race and I represent my community. So I always keep that in the forefront of my mind. I don't ever want to do anything that would bring any kind of malfeasance or anything to my community or to my family or to people that, know me or care about me. So I'm always trying to do what's right and what's best, and just trying to treat everybody the same. When I get on that plane, I don't look at people by color. I'm just looking at you as one of my customers. And I try to treat everybody the same, which is sometimes difficult because you don't always get that back. But so I just try to do the best that I can do every day and do what I think. I'm working trying to get to heaven, so I'm trying to make sure.
Wait a minute, Karen, did you find yourself yesterday cheering for Mike Tyson? Going after that guy who had been messing with him on that plane. Not.
I felt him. I felt Mike, because there's been times, Pastor, that I really going to take that coffee pot and do the same thing. But you,
You
All
know how
right,
you
put your head down, you kind of go like, Lord help me.
yes. I'm in the back gallery just
Jesus.
speaking in tongues, trying to make sure that I don't,
That's a
yeah,
shot.
end up on
Jesus name.
CNN.
All right, let's go to
Yeah.
society has put Black women on the bottom of the totem pole and expect them to walk on eggshells while being able to take up the burden and bench pressing a Buick. It's ridiculous, Marianne Zeus. My sister from Ohio. What's up, sis? Absolutely. Again, adjusting because of stereotype. We deal with it all the time, constantly. And she said, name ending in Isha and ethnic hairstyles and stereotypes the most. Shame. And she said, hey, okay, ladies, so let's go back to Marianne's thing about being put on the bottom of a totem pole. Karen?
She's absolutely right. Yeah. I think in the scheme of things we are, but we're expected, even though we're on the bottom of the totem pole, we're expected to be homemakers, or we're expected to be working women and take care of our families and our husbands and work in the community and deal with issues that are forthcoming in our communities. But we're still supposed to maintain this subservient type attitude, soft spoken. And when we're not soft spoken, that's where that stereotype comes into play, that we're angry. And so I think it's a conundrum. It's really hard it's hard to balance. I mean, it's not easy. And I know our Black men struggle, but I think our Black women struggle in different ways, and it's not out of the ordinary that when we get stopped by the police, I automatically become fearful, and also make sure that I'm not making any sudden moves, making sure that I'm speaking very softly so that that I'm not interpreted as being aggressive. So I think, the challenges that Black women face are pretty insurmountable at times. And so it's a daily challenge for us.
Okay, you're watching the Touring the Two or listening to Touring the Two. Joining the conversation is Leslie Singleton. What's up?
Hi, how are you? How's everybody doing?
Fine. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Karen.
Leslie, we asked the ladies earlier, have they experienced this being called angry? Have you had that experience?
All the time.
All the time.
No, not all the time, but sometimes people try to read how you feel. That's the most annoying thing for me ever, because I can feel that way if you want me to, but you don't want to give them the energy that they're assuming they're getting from you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like, they misread the room. So it's very annoying. So
now you said they misread the room. Too many times we always have to read the room. Karen?
Well, yeah, we have to. Yeah, we're always reading the room. That's what he means by that. When we walk into a room, we always have to read the room to see who we're dealing with.
And where the exes are. We'll go, Karen.
Yeah.
Miss Wyneice.
Yeah, definitely. Reading the room, definitely. And then not kind of conforming over to what, like I said, they expect us to do. We walk into a room, and I'm just friendly with everyone. I don't just hover over in one corner, but if I don't agree with something, I do have to be careful at how I speak up in addressing that, because once again, if I come across too angry, that's what they expect. And you asked Karen earlier about what motivates us. What definitely motivates me is the fact that, I had to raise 3 strong Black women. I have 3 daughters, and they're very opinionated, they're aggressive in the right way. They're very determined, but I also had to teach them along the way to stand up for yourselves. There's nothing wrong with that. We still have to be careful how we stand up for ourselves, but don't be afraid to stand up for yourselves. Don't come across as they expect us to come across. We're strong, we're women, but also you deserve to be, treated in this manner. But you still are going to have to work extra hard because you are, this woman. I have one that's in the military, and she's very aggressive. She doesn't play, really. But there's a lot of things in the military that she doesn't agree with, so she has to be, respectful, not of only of the ranking, but then, as a Black woman, how she comes across, because she notices the difference between her and, her other, soldiers of a different race. So that definitely motivates me, is to keep them on the straight and narrow, to be proud, and to be able to speak up. Might be hard, but, they should do that.
Another comment, this is from Ms. Zoot, says, having to read the room is a contributing factor to the worsening health of Black women as well. The constant stress and the emotional toll needed. As always, be aware and suppose there's opinions about emotions. Then, I love this, then get discounted by white health professionals as well. Thoughts? Let's go to Leslie on that one.
For one, it's, to me, I'm just big on, for me, like in the scriptures, it says, don't judge people, but you're automatically being judged every day. I don't care who you bump into, they're going to size you up in some form. A lot of people migrate to what they like, what they feel like is comfortable for them. I'm the complete opposite. I want to migrate to what's unknown. I want to know what's different. I'm very curious in that way. I'm a extreme loner. So I'm not looking for a pat on the back. I'm not looking for any of that. So you do get sized up. I work at a school, work at like a youth club as well. And a lot of the times in many facilities around this world, our children don't see us as their, a representation of them. And so, when you're working with children and you're the example for them, you have to be a certain way so that they can come up, the way we came up when we were younger. Not to say that's the right way, but we just want to shape them so they'll have a better future. But it's just, we're being judged all the time because they're like, we're stereotyped. That has not gone away. That has never gone away. And I could be on an airplane and I can just be like in street clothes and they're going to assume like I'm everybody else, or like some of the randoms that you get occasionally and that make you mad, that make you angry because you think, okay, so I can give you that. I had a person ask me last week, are you from Detroit? And I was like, this is school. So I'm like, okay, so I'm subbing, right? But I'm like, well, I can give you Detroit, but no, I'm not Detroit. And one of the kids was like, well, I'm from Chicago. I said, okay, well, I can give you Chicago too. But I'm straight out of Saginaw. And we neighbors with Detroit, okay? So it don't matter. It don't matter where you're from.
Don't matter.
We all have that, We can give it to them or not, but it's just too many things, too many factors. So, I was like, Lord, I ain't ready for this today. I showed her a whole lot because I'm just solo.
I want to go to Karen because we're going to lose Karen in 7 minutes.
Okay.
Karen, what are some of the suggestions that you think that need to happen to change this?
Wow. I think we have to put aside sometimes our fears of being judged and just find that inward strength to be able to express ourselves, and being able to stay calm but strong. And I know even at work, if I'm challenging a customer because of something that the FAA has told me I have to make sure
put
that
on
it's
a
done.
mask.
Yeah, put on a mask. Then I get the tears, and when white women cry, then I all of a sudden become the bad guy, and I've been aggressive, and all I've said was, "Ma'am, could you please put on your mask?" And then the tears flow, and then I'm going to write you up because you're aggressive.
Hold on, I want to get this in. This is going up to all three women. From Ohio, my sister, being raised by a strong-minded mother and grandmother, taught me to be an independent thinker, which gets misunderstood as inconforming or angry and sometimes.
True.
Miss Niecy first.
I agree with that. Once again, I was saying, raising three independent and strong, Black women, daughters, it can easily be misinterpreted, that strength, and that independence, not being able to express themselves fully and not being able to stand up for themselves. I have a granddaughter in there as well. And even as young as she is, even in school, she's 9 years old. But if she, doesn't agree with some of the students or other little girls in her class who are, non-Black, she's the troublemaker
Mm-hmm.
because she's
Mm.
Black,
Go
the Black,
ahead.
the Black child in that class, a Black girl, in that class, because she goes to a predominantly, white school. So we have to constantly, enforce in her, it's okay to express yourself, just express yourself in a strong manner, not over dramatic, because then, of course, she'll be stereotyped. And the other little kids, they can just be wilding out.
They can be bugging out, but let you drop paper and you're in punishment. Karen, let me get to you because I know you're leaving, and then I'm going to ask this to Miss Niecy and Leslie. Do you think because the population of men ended up dying or in prison, and the matriarchs, the women, had to step up in a lot of positions because a lot of men weren't there? Let's be honest.
Hmm. Absolutely, but that goes back historically to slavery times. We've always had to be in that position because our men were taken from us, or they weren't around, or So I think that that's kind of been generational with us, even though I was brought up in a household with a strong father and mother, but generations back, there were family members that had to grow up without a male figure, and so the women and the grandmothers were the ones that instilled all the values and taught the young women how to be strong, and the men and the boys. Our society has a propensity to have a lot of women raising these young men, and that's a challenge too. That isn't exactly. So I think, yeah, it's a problem, but I think that's what's made. I think this new generation too is totally different than we are. I think they're a little more vocal. I don't think they have as much fear or hesitation as we did to be outspoken. I don't know if anybody else thinks that too, but I think this
Oh,
new
yeah.
generation is
They
totally
are.
different.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Karen, because I know you got to leave.
Okay.
This last question, and then get you out of there. I want you to speak to that Black young woman that is sitting out there
Mm.
that's starting to really deal with this.
Know who you are. Don't allow anybody else to dictate who you are. Don't let anyone else um, take your strengths and make them your weaknesses. Um, Walk in your truth. Stand up for what you believe in. Think about what you're going to say before you say it. Because sometimes it just takes a moment just to think about how you're going to say it and how it may come across. Um, and I know that's a hard thing to do sometimes, but you don't have to just espouse something right away. Just take a few seconds to think about what you're going to say, and there's a way to get your message across without coming across angry as what they seem as angry. And there's a way to express yourself intelligently.
I think we lost the last little bit of you, Karen. But thank you so much for being on.
Thank
We
you.
love you, and we'll see you
Love you too.
sometime.
Bye.
Hey,
Okay. Bye,
Karen.
guys.
All right, that was Karen Buie Jenkins. She said to a meeting. All right, okay, that question goes to Miss Nisi, then Leslie. We're going to spend time. We're not even going to go to commercials because questions are coming in way too fast. How important is it to have that strong mother and grandmother? Number one, but number two, talk about when men weren't there. And this is something that's been going on since slavery time. Have women have had to step up and do so much.
Well, I mean, technically, that's still happening. Unfortunately, a lot of our men are still being taken away from the family. So the women have no choice. My father died when I was at a young age, when I was 6 years old. So my mother became my mom, my dad, everything. My grandmother, because both my maternal and paternal grandmothers were deceased, but luckily I did have three brothers and a god brother that stepped up to the plate. But I watched my mom, and she had to be everything. She was a strong, she was a strong woman. She did not play when it came to her kids, when it came to herself, and especially when it came to my sister and I. So yes, there were times where she might have came across as being an angry Black woman because she had to run the household. My dad was no longer, around. She had to make sure we stayed on the straight and narrow. She had, three boys, two girls, and she had to do what she had to do, and two that were deceased. So yeah, I mean, definitely. But like I said, this day and age too, we have a lot of women now who's, the rate that these Black men are being taken away, they do have to step up and become all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
And it's scary. It can be scary, and you don't have a choice but to take on all roles and to be that strong, woman.
Leslie.
Yes, tons of factors play into that, stemming from mothers that don't want the father to have anything to do with their child if they're in separate homes or they're having, issues with one another, not being able to work out their relationship affects the child. Being in separate homes, the child having to go between two homes, or maybe not going between a home at all, just with mother. Another factor is it's just too many, way too many. Yes, we are getting locked up, but we as women have to step up and raise our children and maybe seek mentors. Um, a lot of the guys that own barbershops, we can find people that, own their own businesses and maybe, take our children somewhere different, expose them to something different and new so that they have a chance. They say the mother can't, but I am a mother of a 34-year-old. I only have one son, and he was just no father. Um, Not that we didn't have a great relationship. We're just in two different states or two different cities.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the parenting in each household is so different. Our culture is possibly different. And the cultures are so mixed now as well. And even me, I wanted to break a little bit of tradition when I was growing up. Some of the things we did when we were growing up, I did not want to do that when I was grown. One of them was, I wanted the fried chicken when I got grown. And when 2 weeks later, after I got grown and moved on my own, I went right back to baking and, steaming and boiling, because that's the way I grew up. Some things, are embedded in you and you can't let it go. But as women, we really just got to shape our men. We can't make excuses, and every opportunity for growth we need to zero in on that and not use excuses that they don't have their father, or because he's got like three different homes. That's another factor. He's got 4 or 5 children. Three are in one home, one in another home, or it was from a previous marriage. Women get tagged for stuff like that. Of course, that makes us angry. They get tagged for that all the time. You got 5 kids. Yeah, the guy must probably has 5 too, but he's not out there taking care of 3 or 4 of them. Maybe he's with his wife or his significant other that he's going to marry. That's the one he's taking care of. Maybe he does not have the, you know, the support to take care of the other ones. But there are things that we can do when you cannot support. The system doesn't support the men when it comes to supporting their children. We're like, the system does not work for us.
Let's go to back to the board. Ms. Zoots. And this is for you women, and this is for all people. Know your worth. Don't let yourself be one of the people that doubt you. In other words, haters, I love you. Keep hating. You know. And then it says, back to Ms. Zoots, the show is how you are strong, Miss Nisi. So you got fans out. You inspire us daily with your advice and leadership. So you got fans out there. Pastor Burns.
Yeah, let's talk a little more about how we communicate to this younger generation of women. I have a 22-year-old daughter, and I even find sometimes, how I would deal with a situation when I'm talking to her. I'll be like, okay, you can't do that. You got to do this instead. Certainly we know the younger generation of women, they're different and they think different about issues. How do we communicate with them this idea, as you all talk about, having to balance and read a room and when to pull it back and when to turn it loose?
Have to teach
let me do it this way. While you guys are thinking about that, my daughter has changed a lot. She has changed from being that mild-mannered person to, if you come in the room and do anything wrong, it's like, okay. But the thing is, what people don't understand is that when you're Black and you walk into a room, you automatically have to deal with all this stuff that people think about you. When you're okay, that's as a Black man, but as a Black woman, explain that, Miss Nissy, because you have to. Both of you guys have to deal with it all the time.
Well, when I walk into a room, well, let me go back to my daughters, though, actually, because they're more aggressive than I am. I have 3 daughters that will walk into the room and demand attention in a good way. What I mean by that, they'll walk in, and especially even if they're the only Black woman in that room, they will literally walk up to everyone. Hello, how are you? I'm such and such, and pretty much force them to just not only acknowledge her, but to acknowledge the fact that I see you, you see me in a positive manner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think I have a tendency, a lot of, in the job that I'm in right now, which is nonprofit. I went from law enforcement to education, and now I'm in nonprofit. And a lot of times, I might be the only, Black woman, or be very few of us in there. And I will scope the room. And of course, I'm trying to find my comfort level, first of all, to see if I see a friendly face, and they can see a friendly face here as well. But then most of the time, I just kind of dive right in,
Mm-hmm.
to introduce myself. And it's almost like when they feel comfortable with us. Oh, well, she's not an angry Black woman. She has a softer demeanor, until it's something that comes up that forces me to be able to give my opinion. Then they may or may not say, well, she's not as nice as we thought she was. Or, I tell my girls, I said, use your words and not your anger.
Or use your actions and not your anger too.
Well, I mean, the actions is going to speak louder than the words anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying, don't bring out the attitude. Use your words. You're articulate. Speak.
Leslie?
Yeah. We do not have a lot of great examples for our younger girls. Not as many as I would like to see these days. With your TikToks and your Snapchats and your IG and your FB and your Twitter, and it goes on. There's way more sites, out there. There's just so many ways to communicate now, but, they're kind of being sheltered. It's this new age. I call it sheltered. That's what I call it. But the things that you see that are supposed to be trending, well, media's doing that. They're setting the trend for, and so with one, it's monkey see, monkey do for me. That's the old school saying. And I'm just not that person. I've always raised my son, even if I had a girl, even the girls around me now, be your own person. Don't be a follower, be a leader.
Right.
Mm,
When you see people doing other things, that does not mean it's the coolest thing to be or do.
Right.
right.
Be your own person. Find yourself within you. What do you love? It all starts and begins with what you love within yourself. That's going to shape you for your tomorrow.
Isn't it amazing the conversations that black women have to have with their daughters? For instance, one of the rules in our household with the daughters were like, look, or in my household it was the same thing. If you can't go to a movie by yourself without a man on your shoulder and all that kind of stuff, then you got a problem. You got to love yourself and deal with yourself before these other people are tripping. Why do we have to have those kind of conversations when other people, children are going buck wild? Miss Nisi.
Ooh, wow.
It's
That's a
just
loaded
how it
question.
is.
Hey,
It's just how it is.
wait a minute. That was no softball pitch. That was a fastball.
Woo! Let me get my glove. Let me see.
Let me say this while you're thinking about it. I mean, we're four people that get these concepts and we're trying to put them in words, but and I find this too, even with my daughter's experiences, we find black people from all kind of backgrounds now. So you'll find a generation of black youths who you got to explain these concepts to them. Even and when you because of people's backgrounds, we all get these things, but from our life experiences. But trying to explain it to somebody who's 21, 22, raised in a different environment, and they just haven't had those experiences. Trying to explain how to react with the police, or how to act when when you're the only black girl in a group of other white girls, and they don't get it. They almost feel like you're singling them out, and they don't understand historically what's behind that. So I recognize the challenge. So when you say these things, Greg, it's like, well, we all get it, but what are the words we come up with to try to explain it and have it make sense to somebody who may not get it?
It seems like we have to start teaching our girls younger and younger, though. I know you said, 19, 20, but we need to go down to like 12, 13,
Well,
I would say 7 or
14.
8.
I mean,
7, 8.
Yeah.
They have to be shaped very early as 4.
Right.
As very early as 4. That's when it sticks. The youngest they are at right now at 2. Anything we do with them at 2, they can comprehend it. If they can't talk yet, they still understand. They can still, even if we say clean up, they may be able to pick up small little items, but they can do it. Now, my son at 2 in his onesie, it's bedtime time to clean up. He would try to grab 3 or 4 items. He would drop 2 of them on the way to getting rid of the 3, trying to get rid of 3, and he have to go right back and pick them up. But leaves, they can pick up leaves. Just instilling, a lot of things in them, reading to them, even before they can talk, sitting there and reading with them and, giving them, they will grow into it and they will grow to love it. And they need examples, and everything that we're seeing is it depends on the person and what they think is cool, but we need a lot more support. But what we all can do within ourselves is be that example for someone, because I can guarantee you somebody's watching you every day, all day.
say it again, sister. Say it again. You're preaching good. We're going to pass the plate. Let's go. Say it again.
It's the truth. It's the truth. Everybody's watching, whether they communicate with you or not, whether you even know they're watching you or not, they are watching you. So if you're comfortable with who you are and doing what you do, great. But for me, as an example, I was a coach, for like the Dynamites back in the day. I worked, for radio. Then of course, school, the youth club. So there's just certain things I can't do. Like, you gotta, you just can't, you got kids watching you and they know you and you don't know them anymore. You're in the grocery store and you have a 3-year-old running up and grabbing your leg and shaking you like, Coach Leslie. And I'm like, whose baby is this? I don't know their parents, but they look like one of the kids I coached. And I'm like, oh God, that baby looks familiar, but he's too young to be coached. But the kids are watching as young as they're young. They're 3, barely can talk.
All right, we got to go back to.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. Let's go back to the fan board. What advice would you give to those who are raising young Black women in a society that encourages some of the wrong behaviors through television and social media? Big question right there. Because social media will tell you that you got to look like X on Instagram, and you got all kinds of things happening. So what do you tell those Black women, young Black women out there, that you don't have to have that $5 sundress and shaking it out there to be appreciated?
That's a constant self-esteem and self-confidence. Consistency, installing into them. You do not need to behave like that. You are a queen and you should behave as such. I mean, really, television and social media. Oh my God.
It's wrong.
That's a whole different show right there.
It is a whole
that they have on those platforms right there. Really.
Right, let's go back to the board. Maxwell, almost uncool to have that type of mindset and teaching when it comes to our children. Michael Anthony Smith from Texas. He said, now you're talking about parenting. If you don't start at 3 or 4 or 5, it will be too late at 15, 16, and 17. And I do want to do a show on disciplining your children. That's coming up soon. And even the young girls with Disney and cartoons see her earlier comments, and I have to get back to you. So it says even Disney made their only Black princess an overworked, fatherless, struggling girl that had a white best friend that had everything on the silver platter with no effort. Boy, y'all throwing curveballs today.
Yeah. And that's true right there.
It's very true. It's very true. Wow.
Leslie, speak on that.
As I stated earlier, there's not enough of us. When we go in places, we're not being represented. And like myself, I'm 51. I don't have the opportunity to be that one that I was at that age to support those girls. They're looking for someone that looks like them, that's around their age. So and then too, the younger ones these days, they don't really want to hear much that an older one has to say, unless they look like a Cardi B or a Nicki Minaj or
well.
You gotta be Lala, and you can't be the typical, and back to the $5 dress. Let me just give you this news flash. If you're a real businesswoman or man, you know that you can get these dresses for $2 or $3 and you can mark them up to $50 and $80 because you're on there influencing it with your Lala, Nicki, Sierra, and Cardi B body. And you can sell it for 80, 90, 100. Excuse me. Whatever you do. You can do that, And
okay.
You got all this money, but then, you can be a regular Joe. You got people out here that are rich walking around and they're not flashy. They're not shining, but they're shining.
All right. Pastor Burns, question.
Let me ask you, ladies, from your experience in your professional environment or work environment, have you ever had to pull another woman to the side and kind of had her kind of rein it in when you've seen her kind of displaying some of those stereotypical traits that we've talked about? And what was that experience like?
Absolutely. And I'll do it in a heartbeat. You even, I mean, these days you even have to be careful with that too, because everybody's
Mhm.
not going to be as receptive as you want them to be. But
Mhm.
luckily, I haven't really ran upon a woman or another black woman, a woman in general, but another black woman that did not respectfully, receive what I was trying to say to her. And when Leslie was talking about our girls and how they just totally idolize the Cardi B's and the Nicki Minaj's, well, that's, I think it's our responsibility as seasoned, black women, to pull them from Cardi B, and well, not pull them, but okay, you love Cardi B, you love Nicki Minaj, but let's stay with the Angela Bassett's and the Viola Davises and the Michelle Obamas. I mean, what I'm saying,
Right,
bring
right.
that class back.
Balance. Some
Oh,
balance.
all right, it's 2:50. We have 10 minutes to solve the rest of the problems of the world. Okay,
Ha!
we got 10 minutes to do it, ladies.
To be continued.
Yeah, we will do a to be continued on this because it's too important. Because you see, black women get treated the way that they do, they get labeled the way that they get. I mean, so do black men, but they get labeled the way they get labeled. But yet, we're supposed to go and work and be in certain places and show grace and mercy when their kids are running down the aisle acting a fool. Miss
Yeah.
Niecy.
Repeat that one more time, Greg.
Well, my thing is that we have to act. Black women have to act a certain way.
Right.
What do we got to do to get where people understand that you're not angry?
Right.
What do we have to do to get there?
I don't know. It's still like a constant. We have to prove ourselves. Like, for instance, when I'm at work now, and that's anywhere or whatever, people are used to seeing you always upbeat and bubbly or whatever. But as with anyone, I could have a bad day too. It might be a day where I'm tired, and I'm not as
Mhm.
talkative as I'm usually am, may or may not be, or whatever. And I just want to, a little bit of peace. I'm not one where you come in my office, it's kind of like chill. I have like a sign on my door that says, positive vibes only. So, but if I'm,
That's what make them think we angry though, Miss Niecy.
I know, and if I'm right,
Take
they'll
that
go,
positive, tell them
"Niecy,
negative vibes only.
are
Maybe
you
they'll come
okay?
in.
Wyneice, are you okay?" And I'm like,
Exactly. When you put that right on your door, you get it. Now I want to go over the board, and then I want to get to Leslie. It says Aretha Franklin showed her talent. She ain't had to buy parts to put on display like Dolly Parton to make it. Which goes to talk about double standards there. Leslie, okay, now we're going to talk to you about, okay, so how do we turn this thing around? I know, and we're going to have a part 2 about this because
Love.
what black women face, and there are a bunch of men going, oh, will they stop it? No, we won't stop it because the injustices that women face and men, but women face are ridiculous. And until we have this conversation, well, black women are just very, very mean. You're very, very wrong because you didn't have the chance to know somebody. Pastor Burns, you got a question, I know.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Ladies, what do you think?
I think that it's going to, we are past that point almost. To reel it in and go backward, we're probably going to have to start with, going to Mexico and all these other places and get them back to knowing that they're okay as they are. They are beautiful as they are. And that, maybe we can start hanging out at the gym together. It's just so much going on that they feel like they need all the money they invest in themselves as far as new body parts could go into a business where they could become millionaires and, easy because there's a lot of money. Doctors are very rich because they are not. I mean, I just, it's a lot. I'm gonna let that one go because we're gone. We're gone. We might
Okay,
as well go camp out at the doctor.
let me get this in from Ohio. Hey, sis, main reason we black women appear angry is because we sometimes feel we are not heard or listened to. So we get passionate trying to explain ourselves. Miss Nisi.
Mhm.
You know what, Greg? I'm getting ready to throw you a fastball. You ready?
You ready?
You know, okay. I think a lot would help if our Black men, they uplift us,
Come
but
on.
they are a lot of times the ones that's saying that we're angry. Man, I hear a lot of men
Bring that. Hey, wait.
acting a little with attitude.
Bring that back and say what you just said.
Black men need to step up, support more, because a lot of times it's our Black men. A lot of times, sorry, Black men, I love you dearly, trust me, but they do say that we're angry all the time. Our own men, and we're not. I mean, really, that's like
No.
saying all men are bad men, all men are no good. We can't say that.
Nope.
So all Black women are
Mhm.
not angry.
Hold on.
Mhm.
Let me go one more. All men in general, if they are intimidated or in the wrong, will place the blame on their woman. Well, we've been
Mhm.
seeing that since the Bible days. But
Uh-huh.
there's a truth there that Black women,
Mhm.
Black men need to act accordingly and better. But Melvin Barnes, why don't you address that?
Actually, and when this went where I was actually going to go, I was going to, before we go, just say something to Black men. We talk about this idea of angry Black women. What role do we play that, and what can we do to support? Because we're two sides of the same coin, and I
Right.
think Niecy sort of touched on that.
Mhm.
Where do we go? Does anybody want to touch that one? Mel, you might want to throw it at him again.
Tell the brothers what they need to do.
Well, I think that for one, they need to understand from a female's perspective what a woman's day is like. The woman is taking care of home. They get to go out and get on their two wheels, or they get to go out and get on their boat and fish, and have, their spirits. And she's still at home with the children, make sure they're doing homework. And you have some fathers that, I ain't gonna say some, probably many. I mean, I've seen it. There is examples out there, but for the most part, that stressed woman that they're thinking is angry, she needs a nap. She's overworked. She's doing laundry. She's cooking. She's cleaning. There are a lot of things that it takes to run a household, which is why I'm solo. I don't have time. I don't. I'm like, it's just no room. So I'm good. Uh-uh.
Miss Nisi.
But it's a lot going on out here for women.
Wait a minute, hold on. You got an amen for that, Leslie.
Thank you.
All right. Let me say, Miss Nisi, what do you think?
I guess my answer is just simple. Uplift us, we uplift you. I mean, we just together.
That comes with helping at home too,
Well,
and take
exactly.
them out
Support.
sometimes. Take
And I'm
them
not
out.
saying they don't, because a
Yeah,
lot of great men out there. I mean,
there
really,
are. There
just
That-
are.
continue
Most of them
to
are taken.
support each other, because it goes both ways. It really does. It goes
so
both.
it's 2:58. So let's review this. Number one, that your opinions, stop getting your opinions on TV and media, and get to know that woman across from you, because you're gonna find that you guys got a lot in common. Number one.
Mhm.
Number two, if I put up a card, only positive vibes, don't mean I'm angry. It just don't mean I want your crap coming in my office.
Thank you.
It don't mean I'm angry. It just means don't bring it. Okay. Listen, guys, we are going to have to repeat this show because the questions are coming in fast. Um, let's say 30 seconds. Last comment. Or Miss Nisi.
Oh, Oh,
Oh,
30
okay.
seconds.
Well, to all my women out there,
Yeah.
stay strong, queens.
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
continue to uplift each other,
Mhm.
continue to motivate each other. Black men, let's motivate each other as we are doing, but let's
Mhm.
even more so, and let's be an
Yep.
example for the younger generations that are
Yeah.
coming up. It's going to take a lot of work, like I said,
Yep.
repetition and consistency, and
Mhm.
we can do it. Let's just
Yeah.
let's do it.
Leslie?
Drink water and support one another. You know, when you see someone, don't feel like you gotta size them up. I look at women and I say, "Hello, how are you doing?" You know, you just say it's okay. Don't size them up because we don't need that. We
Pastor
need a
Melvin
hug
Burns.
actually, but then they think you might be coming on to them at times too. They're
Wow.
overreading it.
Wow. Wow. Pastor Burns.
Hey, yeah, I love the comments. I think in kind of what was said earlier, we got to give women space. Sometimes you need to be angry, but or situations. The Bible talks about righteous indignation. It doesn't mean because somebody does with a situation, it sums up the whole person in every instance, and that's where we get stereotypes from.
There you go. Ms. Niecy, Leslie, Karen Buie, Pastor Melvin C. Burns. We ran out of time. It's 3:00. I promise you guys, we're gonna have this conversation is so deep that we might have to take a month to break this down. Listen, you guys have a great weekend. Listen, go out. It's gonna be a nice weekend. Sow a seed in somebody's life. Take care and God
Okay.
bless.
All right.
Thank you,
you.
Micah.
Thank you.
Thank you all for the callers and listeners. Thank you.
Thank you.
As an Olympic athlete, I prepare for everything. So when I became pregnant,